What is the United Nations? For many, it's a symbol. It is the blue flag flying in New York City. It is a place where world leaders gather. But it is much more than that. The UN is a global organization. It was created to bring nations together. Its goal is to maintain peace and security around the world. It provides a forum for countries to talk, to debate, and to find common ground. This organization represents a collective hope. We begin with its history, successes, and failures. The story of the United Nations begins with failure. The failure of its predecessor, the League of Nations. Key countries like the United States never joined, and aggressive states acted unchecked. Its inability to prevent another world war showed the world the old system had failed. After the war, Allied leaders knew something had to change. In 1945, delegates from 50 countries met in San Francisco to build a new system. They wrote the UN Charter, a treaty designed to secure peace through collective security. The Charter established the main organs: the General Assembly, the Security Council, the International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. They envisioned collective security, a system to save succeeding generations from war. If one nation attacked another, the world could respond together, though not as a world government. The UN respects the sovereignty of member states while providing a forum for cooperation. Its founders believed peace required justice, development, and respect for human rights. This comprehensive vision made the UN a groundbreaking experiment in global governance. The most visible role of the UN is its work in peacekeeping. Blue helmets are deployed to conflict zones, not to fight, but to maintain peace. They monitor ceasefires and protect civilians. They help disarm combatants and create safe spaces for political solutions. Beyond peacekeeping, the UN orchestrates a massive humanitarian effort through its agencies. The World Food Program feeds millions. UNHCR protects displaced people. UNICEF protects children and supports education and health. These agencies respond to disasters, famines, and refugee flows, providing shelter, water, medicine, and education. The UN is the world's premier diplomatic forum. The General Assembly gives all 193 members an equal voice. Resolutions are not always legally binding, but they carry the weight of world opinion. The UN facilitates treaties on human rights, climate, and arms control. The Sustainable Development Goals provide a shared roadmap, ending poverty and protecting the planet by 2030. The UN provides expertise, funding, and technical assistance to help countries implement these goals. One of the UN's greatest achievements was the eradication of smallpox. Through global surveillance and vaccination, countries cooperated even during the Cold War. By 1980, the World Health Organization declared smallpox eradicated, a milestone in human history. In 1948, the General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a global standard. Peacekeepers and UN missions helped Cambodia, El Salvador, Mozambique, Namibia, Sierra Leone, and Liberia transition from war to peace. They disarmed combatants, monitored elections, and stabilized societies for rebuilding. The UN has been central to climate diplomacy, Rio, Kyoto, the Paris Agreement, and to treaties like the Montreal Protocol. The UN system helps provide scientific guidance and frameworks that have delivered measurable results. These successes show the UN's ability to forge global solutions to global problems. But for every success, there are profound failures and new threats that test the system. The United Nations today faces enormous challenges. Geopolitical rivalries, especially among the United States, China, and Russia, have intensified, and that tension spills into the UN. The nature of conflict has changed. Civil wars, militias, and non-state actors are now the norm. These conflicts are complex, often with no central government to negotiate with. Traditional peacekeeping tools are often ill-equipped for such environments. Transnational organized crime and cyber warfare add layers of threat beyond conventional conflict. The UN depends entirely on member state funding. When dues lapse, operations suffer. It has no standing army and must rely on nations to provide troops and assets. The UN's power is often moral and political, not coercive. That reality fuels criticism and questions about legitimacy. The war in Syria is a stark example of the UN's limitations. Hundreds of thousands died, millions were displaced. UN agencies mounted major humanitarian efforts to reach civilians, but the Security Council was paralyzed. Russia repeatedly used its veto to shield Assad. The UN could not stop atrocities or fully enforce its resolutions. Humanitarian work provided relief, but could not heal the deeper political wound. In 2022, a permanent Security Council member launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, That placed the UN in an impossible position under the Charter. As a permanent member, Russia could veto any resolution condemning its actions. The war caused widespread devastation and a major humanitarian crisis. The General Assembly voted to condemn the invasion, and UN agencies mobilized humanitarian and grain export efforts, but could not stop the war. Syria and Ukraine exposed structural flaws that continue to test the UN. At the heart of the UN's power crisis is the veto. The 5 permanent members, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, China, and Russia, can each veto substantive resolutions. A single veto can kill a resolution, even if the other 14 vote yes. Critics call the veto undemocratic, giving 5 states power over the other 188. Vetoes have often been used to protect P5 interests or allies. Examples include vetoes on Syria and resolutions concerning Israel, raising accusations of double standards. Reform proposals range from limiting the veto in cases of mass atrocities to allowing large General Assembly overrides, but any change requires P5 agreement. Because amendments can be blocked by the P5, meaningful reform is extremely difficult. What does the future hold? A growing chorus calls for fundamental reform. Advocates say the UN must adapt to climate change, pandemics, cyber threats, and megacity scales. UN leaders, including the Secretary General, have called for a new social contract, and leaders from the Global South demand a greater voice. Proposals include expanding permanent seats, reforming the veto, and strengthening rapid response and peace-building capacities. Skeptics note the P5 are unlikely to give up privileges. National interests will complicate reform. Some argue smaller, flexible coalitions may be more effective in certain crises, yet most leaders still see value in a universal organization with the UN's reach and legitimacy. The question is whether political will can match the ambition needed to reform it. We are left with a complex picture, contradictions at the heart of the organization. It is a symbol of unity, yet often paralyzed by division. It has achieved health and human rights victories but failed to prevent some of the worst conflicts. With cascading crises in 2025, climate, pandemic risk, and geopolitical tension, the UN's relevance is being tested. Possible steps: expand representation, reform veto use, secure sustainable funding, and build faster, more agile response capabilities. Voices from the Global South and a new generation of leaders could drive change. Climate change, pandemics, and weapons proliferation are global problems that require cooperation. So the ultimate question: does the world need a stronger UN? If you found this useful, subscribe and join the conversation. The future of global governance concerns us all.